What's up, Internet Lands? This is Optimus Prime, aka Optimus Prime, bringing you another Transformers Power of the Primes review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Power of the Primes. Optimus Prime, to be precise. Power of the Primes. There's a really good onomatopoeia in there. Or sorry, alliteration. I haven't had the time to think of it yet, though, so... Anyhow, so here he is. He is leader class Optimus Prime. Pretty interesting in that he turns into Optimus Prime in his robot mode, and his vehicle mode is like the full light truck thing. This is one of the Prime. This is one of the leader class evolutions or whatever they call it things, where the cab of the truck mode turns into Orion Pax, who then becomes Optimus Prime, just as we saw the previous review of Rodimus Prime. You had, Hot Rod, who then becomes Rodimus Prime. So, I don't know what they're going to do about Optimus Primal, because he was Optimus Primal, and then he turns into Optimus Primal. So, I guess. I don't know. But here he is in his robot mode. And he's really not that bad. I'm not going to say that he's like utterly fantastic, but for $45, he's really not a bad figure. He does suffer the same sort of thing that's common in this wave so far, in that he looks good from the front and not so great from the back. His robot mode is even more so, or his vehicle mode is even more so, but I'll get onto that in a minute. A lot of people have commented that he's basically like a poor man's MP10, and I can't disagree with that statement in the least. Because if you put them side by side, not only will you notice that they're about the similar size, but they really have a lot of... Now, of course, it seems kind of silly to say they have a lot of aesthetic similarities, because they're both the same figure in the same style. But I'm talking about like little details. Like if you notice like these little lines on the feet, this is just an aesthetic change. This isn't something that's true, like specific about the character design. It's just, there. Like the arrows, these arrows are specific to the character. Like Optimus Prime, if you're doing a G1 Optimus Prime, it's got to have them. But like these elbow details seems to specifically homage the MP10. This piece of grill detail here seems to specifically homage MP10. The head sculpt is almost exactly the same head sculpt. Just a few things like that. But, I think it looks pretty good. One of the things that, you do have like half this robot hanging out on the back here. Buddy of mine was like, oh, well, I think it's supposed to be like the jetpack that he had in the third episode of the G1 show, and I'm like, I mean, maybe, except that it doesn't look anything like a jetpack. Certainly doesn't look anything like that specific jetpack. I think that this is just meant to be, hey, Orion Pax's legs have to go somewhere. But anyhow, let's go into the poseability on him. His head is actually on a ball joint, but it really only allows for rotational movement. Like, you get like almost negligible amounts of up and down, and basically no side to side. His shoulders are on friction joints. And, I got to be honest with you, I do love a good friction joint, assuming that this one is a good friction joint, doesn't loosen up over time. Just because click joints, I don't know. I always feel like click joints, like it limits how much nuance you can put into the pose of it. His arm will go all the way out. You'll notice this little panel on the top of his shoulder will go out of the way of its own accord. That's for something later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So his shoulders will go all the way out. He's got an upper bicep swivel, a little over 90-degree bend in the elbow. No wrist swivel to speak of. Would have been nice if they painted those blue. Just saying. Even though you do see them in vehicle mode. I'm getting ahead of myself again. No waist swivel. it might be easy to say, oh, well, they couldn't have done that, but I think there's a way that they could have done it. But anyhow, hips are, goes about 85 to 90% of a Van Damme. Legs go forward that much, back that much. Knees have a little over 90-degree bend to them as well. It's nice. Some ankle tilt, forward and back. All in all, the poseability is pretty good. In terms of accessories, really the only accessories he comes with is his gun here, which is molded in gray plastic with no paint apps on it. Or sorry, not gray plastic, black plastic. It's like gray, but really, really dark gray. And then in his chest, if you open this up, the front of his, he's got another chest. But if you open that one up, he's got the Matrix of Leadership. And I dropped it. I dropped it like Ultra Magnus. Jeez. And so here's this Matrix of Leadership. You know, it's of course meant to look like the original G1 Matrix. This little part comes out. You can stick a Prime Master in there to have various story-related effects that do not in any way affect the toy, except make it so that this is a complete pain in the ass to pull out. Because when you pull it out by these two little nubbins right here. And none of the Prime Masters have got those nubbins on them, so you'll have a difficult time pulling the Matrix out. But I suppose with this particular design, you can just push it from the other side. Come on. Go back in your home. It's not time to light our darkest hour. Okay, there we go. Close that. Close that. Yeah. Did someone say robot mode? I mean vehicle mode? Yeah, let's go. So we're going to take out his gun here. There's a tab right here. We're going to pull that down and just disconnect all of this. And we're going to throw that to the side for now. This is actually a pretty decent little like Optimus Prime bust. It reminds me of that Kabaya capsule toy trading figure from the mid-2000s. Anybody remember that? I do. Anyhow, drop it like it's hot. Gonna pull down the legs here, flip them all around, pop out his feet, pull down his arms, pull up in the chest, put his Optimus Prime head away, bring up the Orion Pax head, and there we have actually a really good rendition of Orion Pax. It actually kind of beats the snot out of the cup repaint we got late last year, the Orion Pax cup repaint, which in itself was a pretty good figure as well. But this one actually looks like Orion Pax, not just like a repaint of cup. Which ironically the first Orion Pax toy I ever got was just a repaint of cups, if I recall correctly. As is the current theme, he looks really good from the front and really bad from the back. You can kind of alleviate the "Hey, I'm Optimus Prime" chest look by folding those down, but it still gives him one gnarly backpack. You can take this weapon here and separate it into two completely silly looking weapons, because this one just looks like the back of Optimus Prime's gun, and this one actually kind of looks like kind of a gun in and of itself, but like just like the front of a gun. So yeah, you can separate Optimus Prime's gun into two guns, one that looks like the back of his gun and one that looks like the front of his gun. Yeah, that's science right there. And this guy is, you know, I mean, he's a deluxe class figure, and he's similar. He's kind of what you would consider to be a deluxe class engineering. He's got, you know, ball joint here. Again, limited up and down. It'll go around just about as freely as you need. No real side to side, so we're not doing any inquisitive looks, even though he is a librarian or a records officer, whichever continuity we're in today. Ball joint at the shoulder allows him to go around all the way, allows him to go out that much if you get it in the right spot to clear all the little things in there. Bicep swivel here, double jointed knee or elbow. Oh my gosh, it's like a knee but on your arm, right? Double jointed. And then his wrist goes like that, but that's really for transformation. Though you could totally get some sick shooting poses going on. Yeah. Again, no waist swivel. His leg will go forward a lot, actually. And then go back about as much as the backpack will allow. He's got maybe 70 to 80% of a, holy crap, that never happened before. 70 to 80% of a Van Damme. Upper thigh swivel, knee bend about 90 degrees. His toe moves a little bit. Oh, that happened to the other one. So not only has that never happened before, but it happened twice in like 10 seconds. His toes are just a little, they don't support any weight. Now, granted, because of this backpack, he's back heavy, so for most poses, he's going to hold just fine. But like, maybe if you try to get him into something, crazy that would involve him relying on his toe weight or toe strength, like, it's not going to work out so great, maybe. Something to be aware of, that this pin here is kind of loose. But anyhow, let's get him further into his truck mode. So what we're going to do here is we're going to open up this, flip the arms all the way around, fold these panels here to the back, fold up the hands, we're going to take these, you can see the wheels right there, guys. Clip those together like that. There's two pegs right here. Those are going to go in these slots right here. The head just tucks in between that hole there. And take these and just fold them down. And tab, slot, etc. For the rest of the body, we're going to start with the arms. I'm going to fold down the smokestacks. Turn this part's up. This part will go up all the way. I feel like I'm doing something wrong already, which I am, of course. All right. I'm going to fold these panels out of the way because that was my problem. Whoopsie. You know, all this stuff, you like practice a bazillion times. You get it down pat. And once you turn on the camera, like everything goes wrong. And I know I'm not the only YouTuber who's mentioned this. Only, Transformers reviewer. Just, you turn on the camera and like Murphy's like, hey, what are you doing here? Mind if I join in? All right, we're going to fold these all the way out. Extend this. And again, extend this all the way out. Starting to look like something, right? Yeah. You're going to bend this knee. This knee bends forward just a bit, just enough for you to start tabbing all this back together. And the same with the other side. Bend the knee. Pinch your finger. Tab it all together. And there you have a trailer. Now for this one, what you can do is you can take this, plug it in like that, and then you can just kind of like, basically these pegs right here will go into these holes right here, and I see no fathomable reason for those to exist except for this. Or maybe it's these pegs. I don't know. I did this once and I was like, it's a thing. It's vehicle storage. So, yeah, there's weapon storage, I suppose. You can also peg them into these holes right here, which I think is what most of the people around here do. And there you have. Let me lower this camera. Get that other shot. There you have him in his vehicle mode, and keeping with the tradition so far, he looks pretty good from here. And then the more you turn this, like the less good he looks, the less good. And by about this point, you're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So, yeah, I mean, he looks great so long as you look at him like basically like this, and don't look at the top, and don't look at the back. And I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad figure. I actually think that's pretty good for you know, one of these later class figures. It's actually better than actually it's pretty good. I like that it's, I mean, okay, so the Titans Return figures, they were all good, but they were basically like a reimagining, not even reimagining, just an update of a G1 figure, you know, with the possible exception of the Power Master Optimus Prime, which they took a few creative liberties to it because they didn't want to introduce that play pattern yet. But I mean, you look at Six Shot, you look at Blaster, you know, a bunch of these figures, they were all basically like that. This, I like that they have introduced a new concept, and they've done it pretty well. Still waiting for that Star Saber to come out, but you know, it hasn't been announced, so the odds of it actually being released are fairly minimal. But I can still dream, right? But for a later class figure, I think he's actually pretty good. I think that this guy works better in his robot mode, whereas like Rodimus Prime, I think worked better in his vehicle mode. So you know, you take what you can get. If you are looking for an homage to MP10 and you don't want to spend, you know, $150 or whatever they're going for these days, you want to spend, you know, a third of that instead, I think this is pretty decent. Say you've got an MP10 and your kid wants one just like daddy's or mommy's, and you don't feel like giving him $150 figure, then, you know, here's a $45 one that does pretty well. I don't know, a bunch of things. If you're collecting, you know, then this is a good thing to add to your collection. I don't know that the figure is like a killer app, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I don't know that this is like an oh my god must-have figure, unless it's part of a part of a collection thing that you're trying to do. But you know, it's a pretty decent figure. Could really use a little bit of extra paint. And that's basically sums up how my thoughts on it. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Everybody have a great day. You're all fantastic, and I'll see you later. Be good to each other.